Hello and welcome everyone. Episode number 4 is here. What a good journey, what a good month it's been. Already talking about the beauty of Jesus with you all, talking about life and satisfaction and fulfillment and purpose. So I just wanted to say hello to everyone who's listening near and far. I love all the engagement that is picking up on social media. I've received messages from some of you who've been listening to every podcast and you've been sharing it with friends, with family members. I'm really thankful for the ones of you who have been confiding in just lifestyle hang-ups, addictions, how you've confided in family members now that you do have addiction problems and how you want to come out of the darkness and you want to start to walk in that abundant life that God has given you. He paid such a high price for you to walk in peace and in purpose and fulfillment and in abundance. So thank you. So keep sending those messages and I'm praying for you. I feel like there's already like a family being built around this podcast. So that's very encouraging. And that's the reason why I'm doing it. I want you all to know that there is more that's available to you. He wants you to come alive. He didn't suffer and die and do all the things that he did just for us to live a mediocre, half-hearted life. He gave himself, he gave everything of himself so that we can live an abundant life every single day. Every day. So with that, go ahead, keep sending messages in. You know, the podcast is available here on Anchor FM. I'm seeing listeners on Google, on Spotify, on Facebook, on Apple Podcasts, Overcast, and a few other sources. So go ahead, keep listening in whatever way is best for you. And now the episodes are out on YouTube as well. So right now we have the English ones up on YouTube, but pretty soon we will have the Spanish ones on YouTube as well. So thank you for following. Thank you for subscribing. And speaking of subscribers, thank you for our first monthly donor right here on Anchor FM. You can give financially to this podcast if you want to invest in future episodes. And we have our first subscriber for $10 a month. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. If anyone else wants to give, go ahead. You can go ahead and donate a certain dollar amount every month to go towards this podcast and to future episodes. So here on Anchor FM, if you click the donate, subscribe, then you will have options to do that. So I want to say thank you to our first partner, our first donor for the podcast. That was awesome. A great surprise. The podcast is free for everyone to listen to, so you can be free to share it far and wide, but donations definitely are welcome because it does take a lot of time and energy to do this on a weekly basis in English and in Spanish because we just want the message to go far and wide about the goodness of God and the goodness that he's given to you. So here we are, week number 4, episode 4. And the title of this episode is, Have you lost the wonder? Have you lost the wonder in life? And I hope not, but I feel like a lot of people have been just surviving and not thriving. I've seen a lot of heaviness. I've seen a lot of depression. I've seen people just almost moping around like, another day, the same old. I was actually talking to a lady a couple days ago and she's like, it's just the same old stuff. But she used a different word, you know. Yeah, it's just the same old stuff every day. And so I told her that I'd be praying for her and I hope that she can find enjoyment and fulfillment in life. So with that, I'm asking you, have you lost the wonder in life? I hope not. But if you have lost the wonder, there are different things you can do to get it back. Because we as human beings, we were meant to be in awe. We were meant to live lives of fascination, lives of captivation, lives of being in awe and in wonder. As human beings, we love beautiful things. And depending on our personality, that can look different. Some people just love being in nature. Other people love building things with their hands and making art. different things that are beautiful, hairstylists. We love beauty. Some people love cars. There's beauty in the things that God has put inside of us. And in that pursuit, there's people that maybe go to movies. They maybe create movies. They write books. There's different ways that people are inspired to awe and wonder and to beauty. But really, God created us so that when we look at Him, we would be inspired. We would be in wonder. We would marvel, not just at movies and not just at comic books, but we actually marvel at God Himself, that He is full of wonder. He's full of glory. He's marvelous. He's majestic. He is completely set apart. He's other than. When we begin to think and meditate about Him and about who He is, it creates and it produces wonder inside of us. And so maybe it's just been a long time since you have got some good time with Jesus and to just marvel at Him. Or maybe you've never heard about some of the ways and about who He is and about how marvelous He is. I know in the last episode I hit a little bit on the fact that that Jesus is not created, that He always was, and that He made the world and He made everything that exists. But then from there, He went forth and He actually wrapped Himself in light, and then He wrapped Himself in skin and became a human being. But He always was. And so with the awe-inspiring reality of who Jesus is, I just want to look at wonder today. How long has it been since you've been in wonder with Him, in wonder of who He is? Maybe never lose the wonder, maybe never lose the awe. So I looked up in the dictionary. I believe this is Webster's dictionary. I know there's different, there's wonder as a verb, there's wonder as a noun, but wonder as a noun in the dictionary says this: wonder, a feeling of surprise mixed with admiration caused by something beautiful, unexpected, unfamiliar, or inexplicable. Wow, that's beautiful. One more time. Wonder is a noun. It's a feeling of surprise mixed with admiration caused by something beautiful, unexpected, unfamiliar, or inexplicable. So how about that? The beauty of Jesus. When we are marveling at Him, when we're lost in wonder of who He is, that is exactly what's happened. We have this emotion of surprise mixed with admiration caused by His beauty, caused by how unfamiliar He is, how set apart He is. And that is actually part of the word of holy, being set apart. It's inexplicable. It's beyond our comprehension. It's beyond our understanding. So if we go back and we actually take time to meditate on Jesus and say, wow, who is this person who spoke the whole world, the whole unseen world, the unseen realms, and the seen realms into existence by the word of His power? The only thing that He created with His hands are human beings. Everything else He spoke into existence, but He created us as humans with His own hands, with dirt from the earth, and He breathed His breath of life, His Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit breath of life into our beings, making us in His own image and giving us life. He's our life source. But everything else, just, man, by the word of His power, boom, He made it, and it was. That alone is amazing. And how can the book of Job and book of Psalms, other places in the Bible say how He spread out the heavens like a curtain, how the universe can fit into the palm of His hand. The whole universe in the palm of His hand. But then yet He loved so much, and He was humble enough to actually step away from some of that glory and be confined into skin, into flesh, and to become a human forever, because He knows that humans fell away and they needed to be brought back and redeemed into perfection. That's something you can think about, like, wow, how can you fit the whole world in the palm of your hand? How can you fit the universe in the palm of your hand? And then that same person, how can you then from there go and become a man, become a human? See, when we begin to think, we kind of slow down our busy days, slow down our busy mind, and get alone with God and start to talk to Jesus, start to talk to Him. These things will begin to inspire awe and beauty, and you will begin to marvel at Jesus. And when you begin to marvel at him, it's like you can go on marveling. You keep on marveling. That wonder and that marvel is a gateway. So that gateway is a gateway into encounter, because really it's our portion in life to see God. It's our portion to know him. It's our portion to talk with him. This is not a one-sided relationship. He's very much invested in us. He's very he's in love with us. He desires us. But the reality is a lot of us don't give him the time and the attention and the affection that he deserves. He's all about relationship. And so it's just like quality time. He loves quality time with his people. But a lot of times as we meditate upon him, I'm saying that that is a gateway into encounter with him. It's like someone spending time with him and saying, hey, I want you to come talk to me. I want you to sit with me. And if you make time and you make room for him, then he will meet with you. He will visit with you, because that's what he wants to do anyway in the first place. He says in his word that he prepares a table for us daily. He prepares a table for us, that daily we're his delight. He wants to be with us. So we, in turn, I think it's only fitting that we turn our affection, our desires to him. So there are three, well, there's more than three. There's a lot of scriptures, a lot of stories, a lot of accounts in the Bible that are awe-inspiring for me. But I just want to share three of my go-tos. That for me, it's a place where I know if I'm getting a little bit heavy, a little bit weighed down, things are starting to feel like a drudge instead of an excitement, instead of a passion, instead of there being an invigoration in my heart for the Lord. There are three stories that always inspire awe with me. And one of them is from the Old Testament, and then the other two are from the New Testament. And I can meditate on these stories forever. I don't, these three really stand out to me. They do something for me. And of course, there's like hundreds and thousands of others that are very significant as well. But these are the three that stand out for me. I can always go back to and read and kind of get lost in them. And I can just imagine and see all these things in my mind. So one story is from Judges chapter 13. Okay, that's the Old Testament story, Judges 13. And it's about the story of Samson's birth. And so Jesus comes and he shows up and he announces to his parents that they're going to have a son and that this son is special. And this son is set apart. I'm not sure if I'll read the whole thing right now, but you can go back and read Judges chapter 13. It's a book in the Bible, the Old Testament. The book of Judges chapter 13 will tell you about Samson and his birth narrative, his birth story. And so Jesus, now this is before he came to the earth for the first time. So a lot of times in the Old Testament, which is the first portion of the Bible, the first covenant, it's before Christ came, you will see in our English Bible the words angel of the Lord. Angel of the Lord, and it should be usually in all caps. And when you see angel of the Lord capitalized, you know that in the original language in Hebrew, it's saying that this is the angel of Yahweh. This is God himself. This is Yahweh. The angel, like the person of Yahweh, the messenger of Yahweh. So it's not just a different angel. It's very significant. So this is Jesus before he became a human forever. So I think there's about 8 or 9 different accounts where he shows up in the Old Testament as the angel of Yahweh, the angel of the Lord in English. And so it's fascinating. So this time Jesus shows up and he pronounces to Manoas' wife, actually. He appears to her twice, and then then the dad's like, hey, I wanna have this visitation as well. And so Jesus appears to her again and she runs and gets the husband. But anyway, Jesus tells them about the fact that they're going to have a son and he's going to be a Nazirite. So all the days of the pregnancy and of his life, do not cut his hair, do not drink wine, all these different things, part of the Nazirite vow. And they were in awe, they were amazed. And then they turn and they ask him, so what is your name so that we can honor you? And then his response to them is like, why do you ask my name, seeing that it is wonderful? Why do you ask my name, seeing that it's beyond your comprehension? Why do you ask my name, seeing that it is too marvelous for you? That gets me every time. So he says, just offer a sacrifice to Yahweh and that'll be enough. That'll be enough. Can you imagine that? So here you have God himself show up to you and he's saying, don't bother asking my name because it's too wonderful for you. It's beyond your comprehension. Just offer a sacrifice to Yahweh and that'll be enough. And when they offered it up, he descended in the flame. And then the husband, he completely freaked out. I imagine he started screaming. He's like, we're going to die. We've seen the angel of God. And the wife is practical. She's like, look, first off, he took our sacrifice and accepted it. Second off, he said we're having a son. If he wanted to kill us, I don't think that would be the case. It's like, come back down. Picture of slapping him around like, bro, get it together. But regardless, Jesus is so fascinating. He knew that they wouldn't be able to comprehend that he is God from the beginning. He is Yahweh, but he put on a form to appear to them. But yet he is the Messiah who is coming. And their son who's being born is a Nazarite who's going to prepare the way of his coming. And so it's just such an intense storyline, but you only know what you know. So there they were in the middle of history in the making, and so fascinating that Jesus was like, why do you ask my name? It's wonderful. And so that account right there, I can spend hours and days and months even just talking about that story alone. But for sake of time, I won't today. But go ahead and read Judges 13 for yourself and just be inspired by it. Another story that I am just like, it blows me away to the point where I'm like, I don't know why there's not a movie about this yet. It's in Matthew. Now we're in the New Testament. So the very first book of the New Testament. So this is when Jesus has come to the earth for the first time as a human being. Matthew chapter 27, and starting off in about verse 50, it tells about what happens, like really briefly, but maybe from 50 on down, it talks about Jesus after he died on the cross. He gave up his final breath, and there was a massive earthquake throughout the city. And if you are in Israel, if you ever visit Israel, you'll still see the fault lines from that earthquake throughout the city. It was a massive earthquake, and it runs throughout the city. Like those fault lines are still there. The cracks are still there in the ground. So powerful. But this earthquake happens. The veil was torn in the temple, which I do not have time to talk about today, but my God, that's glorious. The thing that separated people from the holy place of God, the holiest of holies, it was torn. Torn, not in any natural way, but torn from the top down and wide open. And those are thick, heavy curtains. It was torn in an instant, in a moment. And then this is the part that gets me. People who were dead, saints, people who were dead and were believers in the Lord, up to that point, they came up out of the graves too. So when Jesus went down into the ground, oh my God, there are people that came up out of their graves. The resurrection power and life that was present in Jerusalem was so significant and so powerful that the graves opened up and people began to preach that he is the Messiah, that he came and that he set them free from the place of the dead. This is the first resurrection. Oh my God. That to me is so wonderful. Can you imagine your aunt or your uncle who died a week ago, who loved the Lord, is coming up preaching like, that Messiah we've been waiting for? He's God and this is him. They're preaching all throughout Jerusalem. Your aunts and uncles, your parents, whoever, your relatives, ancestors, neighbors who've been dead for hundreds of years, they came about the ground too, preaching in Jerusalem. Like, my God. Maybe people don't talk about this so much is because if they did, it would cause some things to shake up, get some things rattling and rolling around here. Because it's a miracle. It's miraculous. The power that Jesus possesses is from another realm. It's from another age. He is not just a man. This is awe-inspiring. So could you imagine dead people coming up out of the ground and preaching about Christ being God and being for them and how he set them free from the place of the dead? Can you imagine these people walking around the city, going door to door, going throughout the markets, going throughout the entire region? They literally came up out the graves. That's part of the reason why the soldiers and the religious orders of the day and the Roman government, they said, put him in a tomb and seal it off, because there is commotion going on. And those soldiers knew. They confessed themselves with their own words. Surely this was the Son of God. Surely this was the Son of God. Who else gives up their final breath? He wasn't just killed. It was very clear that he gave his life up. He wasn't resisting the torture. He wasn't resisting the death. He gave his life up. Then he gave up his final breath, praying for people to the very end. And then as he releases his last breath, then an earthquake comes. The city shakes. The temple is destroyed. That veil is torn. That curtain, that tent curtain, it is torn from top to bottom. Dead people coming about the ground. Surely this was the Son of God. That story, if that doesn't make you want to shout, if that doesn't inspire awe and wonder in you, oh my Lord, I don't know what will. Just think about that. Dead coming to life again. Talking and preaching about Messiah, about how this Jesus, he's God. He set us free from the place of the dead. Wow. So if you want some awe in your life, you want some wonder, go read that story. Go read that story. And the third little nugget I want to give you, very, very close to the same time frame of this instance where Jesus gave up his final breath and he went down into the place of the dead. Side note, when he went down into the place of the dead, he set people free. He also took back authority over death, and he took back authority from the ruler of this world, which is Satan, the fallen one, and all his little minions. Jesus took full authority over the curse and over death, over sin, over the grave. So when Jesus rose from the dead, it was finished. Completely finished and done. And he destroyed and he dismantled every power and every authority of the air, every ruler of wickedness in high places. He cast them all down. So now, as a believer in him, as a believer in Messiah, Yeshua, Jesus, Isa, whatever you call him, we say Jesus in English, he has given us victory over death, over the grave, over all things. Okay, so in the future episodes, I will definitely talk more about that. But I wanted to throw that little nugget in, knowing that that wasn't just for Jesus. He did that for us. So that's all of us. That's all of our birthright now as human beings. And if we love him, we have the same access to the same power, and we are victorious just like he's victorious. Okay, so the last story that really is just, it's always a go-to for me as well. It's in Luke chapter 24. So starting off in about verse 13 on really into the end of the chapter. So from about 13 to verse 53, it is so awe-inspiring to me, but it's about what happens when these two disciples of his, they were walking down the road to Emmaus, and they were all distraught. They were dismayed because he had been crucified, and they were confused. They were like, we thought he was the one who was going to set Israel free. We thought he was going to lead us into the promise and everything. And as they're walking on the road discussing between themselves, guess who shows up? It's Jesus. He shows up because at this point he had risen from the grave himself. He was in the ground for 3 days, and he came out and he burst forth. The stone, the seal, everything was destroyed. And then what's awesome to me that makes me giggle, actually, let me quit playing. It makes me belly laugh and roll around on the floor, is that when he rose from the dead, Jesus just had the presence of mind and the audacity to fold up his grave clothes. He didn't just take them off. He folded them up. He folded up the grave clothes and he left them there. in that tomb and he walked right on out. And so part of him folding it up in the Jewish culture, it means that he will never taste that again. He will never taste of death again. He did it once and now it's done. So he folded up his grave clothes, just like a Jewish person would fold up a napkin. He folded up those grave clothes and he walked right out. So in the Jewish culture, if you had a dish, if you were at someone's house, if you ate something and you folded up your napkin a certain way and you left it at the table, not to be rude, that was a very polite way of saying, I tasted that. I don't ever want to taste that again. It's not very good. They're done. They tasted it, one and done. And so when Jesus got up out of that grave, when he folded up his grave clothes a certain way, that was his way of saying, I tasted death once and I will never do that again. It is finished. It's done. Okay. So that is powerful right there by itself. That makes you want to shout like, Jesus, there you go again. Showing out. You did it. You did it. Love him. So with that, so back to those two disciples walking down the road to Emmaus, they were distraught. And then here comes Jesus. This is actually super funny because Jesus is like, oh, hey, what are you guys talking about? They didn't recognize him. He must have looked different in his appearance and than what they were used to. And whew, he had his resurrected body. So there he is walking with them. And they're like, what's going on? Why are you sad? And they have this dialogue where, oh, like, where have you been? Like, don't you know what's going on in Jerusalem? Like, oh my gosh. And he's like, what's happening? Tell me. And I'm laughing again. Like, Jesus, you're funny. Because he knows what's going on in their hearts and their minds. But he chose to show up to them. And that's very endearing as well. And so he opens up the scriptures and begins to talk to them from the beginning, from Moses, from the prophets about who Messiah was and what he would do. And then he was going to keep walking, but they wanted him to come to their house because they're like, oh, it's getting late. We want you to stay. You know, we really enjoyed your company. And Jesus came. And as he was in their house, after he had talked all about himself, talked all about the Messiah and what Messiah would do from the law, from the prophets, from the Torah, from Moses' words, when they sat down to eat, and when he broke the bread, then their eyes were opened and they saw who he was. And they thought, oh my God, it's you, Jesus. And then Jesus disappeared and he went somewhere else. So with his resurrected body, he has the ability to go and walk around and appear in different places. It's not just his natural body like before he went into the grave. So when we one day will get resurrected bodies as well, those of us who know and love Jesus, and we'll be able to do those things that he does as well. But that story is so awe-inspiring. So think about that. Jesus making time to appear to these disciples, to talk to them, to encourage them. And then he opens up and he teaches them all about himself. Through the scriptures, he opens up their eyes, opens up their hearts, and then they're so excited that they run all the way back to Jerusalem and tell the other disciples there that he is alive. We've seen him. And then Jesus shows up in that household as well, and he opens up their eyes and explains scriptures to them, and that's just beautiful. Lord Jesus, I'm like, come, Lord, teach me. I love to have Jesus come and teach me all about himself through the scriptures and through the Bible. But those are three stories that hopefully they inspire awe. So go read Luke chapter 24, the road to Emmaus, Matthew chapter 27, about what happens with the graves opening, Judges 13, Jesus coming way back in the Old Testament. Let these stories inspire awe and wonder to your heart again. That'll shake off the dust and the heaviness that life will throw at you. And I'm going to pray for you now as we close out, that you would come alive, that you would come to life, that you would have awe and wonder by the beauty of Jesus, the unfamiliar, unexpected, inexplicable power of his glory. So Father, right now in the name of Jesus, I pray that you would fill hearts with light and truth and peace. Father, I pray for a breaking in of light. You said that the very entrance of your word, it brings light. So I pray that your word will go in right now, go in between the joint and the marrow and the body and the spirit and the soul. And I pray life forevermore. I pray for fascination with the beauty of Jesus. I pray that eyes and minds would turn away from worthless things, turn away from things that produce death and decay, and that they would turn their eyes to you. They would come alive. That they would begin to love you and know you and walk in the birthright that you have given them. So I thank you, Father. All right, we'll see y'all next time.